important roles. In 2003, Tony moved to Seattle, Washington, to become medical director of emergency services and transport medicine at Seattle Children's Hospital. He serves as the most distinguished leader of this very busy and highly respected pediatric emergency department for more than 20 years. Tony's currently professor of pediatrics and emergency medicine at the University of Washington School of Medicine. It's remarkable that throughout his career as an administrator and as an academic leader, Tony continues to work shifts in the emergency department, serving as an attending doctor on the front lines with his colleagues. His accomplishments are truly amazing. Tony served tirelessly on numerous national and local committees. He's a longtime member and even chair of the American Board of Pediatrics Subboard of Pediatric Emergency Medicine. And he's had numerous leadership roles in our section of the AAP, serving on the executive committee of the section of emergency medicine for many years. Recently, Tony was chair of PEMNAC, and he was an exceptional manager of this subcommittee of our section because Tony's a natural leader with decades of experience as a PEM physician and division chief. Tony's academic accomplishments are also quite remarkable. He was the editor of the AAP guidelines on air and ground transport. He's authored dozens of peer-reviewed papers and articles and more than 100 review articles and book chapters. He's rightfully recognized nationally and internationally as an accomplished physician scientist. Perhaps Tony's most important accomplishments are those of a great mentor, teacher, and innovator in pediatric education. He's trained countless residents from multiple disciplines, fellows in PEM, transport providers, and medical students. He's passionate about teaching and provides expert guidance with a warm and gentle manner. Everyone who knows Tony will tell you that he's patient, he's ever condescending, and always presents a wealth of information in a clear, concise manner. Many of his trainees have gone on to leadership positions in our field. Let's hear now from some of his colleagues and friends.
Greetings, I'm Dr. Steve Krug from Lurie Children's Hospital in Chicago, and I'm really honored to participate in this testimonial for my great colleague and friend Tony Woodward, the recipient of the Seidel Award this year, and I'm also a prior Seidel Award winner myself. I've never actually worked in the same institution as Tony, but it seems as if I have because of our collaboration outside, including within the American Academy of Pediatrics. Tony has quietly ascended to great heights as a leader, both within his institution, but also at the national level. We've been fortunate to train faculty and our fellows over the years, and the folks that have traveled from Chicago to Seattle have always said what a wonderful, patient, kind, and thoughtful leader that Tony has been. And in fact, Tony doesn't know this, but he's on my very short list of division heads that I would actually work for. So I'm not sure you want to recruit me at this point, but you are truly terrific. Again, thank you, Tony. Thank you for your great leadership, both locally and nationally. And congratulations, this is a well-deserved award.
Tony, it's such an honor for me to have an opportunity to say a few words on this occasion. I am so delighted to learn that you have won the 2024 Seidel Award. You are the most deserving person I can imagine, and I offer you many, many congratulations. You have made incredible contributions to the field of pediatric emergency medicine, spanning from the East Coast in Philadelphia to the Pacific Northwest in Seattle, with a stop in Salt Lake City. You've served on so many committees and held so many leadership positions for the section of emergency medicine, and really done amazing things to advance our field. But the thing I will remember most about you is how compassionate you are, Tony. And this was something that was observed by everyone. You were loved by the nurses, by the patients and their families, by the environmental services staff. Everyone whose path you crossed thought of you as just a really nice person who conveyed caring about their well-being. I think if we had been in the military rather than an academic pediatrics, you would have been the archetypal officer and gentleman. You're also an administrative superhero. You came to CHOP and immediately took over the transport team. Then you became our trauma liaison. Then you took over handling emergency medical services. And finally, emergency preparedness. You ran all the disaster drills. You got us ready for every event that could possibly occur. And I always was struck that by about 1 year after you left for Seattle, about 4 or maybe 5 different attendings had been appointed to replace the roles that you had filled before you left. And then lastly, I'll remember sitting on a bench with you on 34th Street out in front of the hospital, probably over lunch or a little coffee break we carved out for ourselves, and you sort of sharing some of your hopes and dreams for the future and what you thought you needed to get to that point. And not too long after that, in 2004, of course, off you went to Seattle with the offer to be a division chief, and you richly deserved. And although I had very mixed emotions at the time about seeing you go, obviously today, as the Seidel Award winner, you made the perfect choice, and the field of pediatric emergency medicine has been very, very lucky that you were able to do so.
Hi, Tony. Congratulations on the Jim Seidel Distinguished Service Award. It's a wonderful recognition for all that you have done for our field and beyond. And in my opinion, the award understates your overall awesomeness. I think I know many of you in the audience, but given the passage of time, I imagine that there are many others I have not yet had the opportunity to meet. My name is Rick Saladino. I met Tony more than 30 years ago, both of us being among those who graduated from what were the very first years of pediatric emergency medicine fellowship programs. Tony was at CHOP and I was at Boston. I came to know Tony very well during 2 decades of being faculty and then leaders of the planning committee for the original Prep EM course. But more than that, during and since those days, Tony and I have become partners at a number of CME courses, admittedly primarily at various exotic locations. And then ultimately we became regular phone buddies. For the past 15 years or so, we've shared the evolution of our own careers for sure, but more to the point of this award, we talked about the field of pediatric emergency medicine, developing the careers of others, leadership at the local and national level, and how to coach the next generation of pediatric emergency medicine clinicians and scholars. As you know, Tony has been at the center of all of that, and I'm pretty sure someone already has, or someone certainly will list his many accomplishments in Utah, Philadelphia, and for the past 24 years in Seattle as a clinician, an educator, and a leader. Tony is, of course, being recognized today for all of that servant leadership, and also for his more global influence in our field, making a difference for the AAP section on emergency medicine, the American College of Emergency Physicians, the Pediatric Academic Societies, and the American Board of Pediatrics. Congratulations, Tony.
It is well known that Tony's had a long interest in transport medicine, and is clearly one of the founders of the specialty. He became a licensed pilot years ago, and still indulges in every form of transport imaginable. He loves traversing Lake Washington in his boat. It's only puzzling that despite his dedication to safe transport of children, Tony is such a risk taker with his own transportation. He loves his dirt bike. He skis with wild abandon. If you're foolish enough to accompany him to the top of the mountain, your jaw will drop when he skis right past the danger sign and expects you to follow him. It's hard to believe someone so devoted to patient safety and injury prevention is such a daredevil on the ski slopes. Despite these transgressions, his colleagues in story.
For Eileen Klein. Tony, you're an amazing leader. You help us to be the best that we can be, and that's really what I adore about you. When you ask me to do something, I know it's going to be something that I care about and something that I'm passionate about doing, and that's how you are with all of the faculty here. You totally deserve this award, and we are so proud of you. Congratulations. Dr. Widja Shande.
Well, Tony is absolutely a wonderful recipient for this award because he is always here for our faculty. He supports all faculty, all the staff trainees throughout our work and through all the different institutions that have arisen over the years. For example, over the past few years, we had to deal with the challenges of the pandemic and the incredible surges we experienced. He was always here with us in the ED, helping us troubleshoot, always here to support us in all of those challenging times. So thank you, Tony, for all your work on our behalf here and throughout.
Dr. Russell Megida.
Tony, if there's one thing that I can say about you is your old school dedication. I still remember you interviewing one of our prospective fellows while getting IV fluids for kidney stone in one of our rooms. And I also still remember you working through rib fractures and pneumothoraces that you suffered as a result of dirt biking in Central Washington.
Congratulations, Tony. Thanks so much for all the support that you give to all of us. We're lucky to have you, and you're such a great colleague and boss.
Tony, congratulations on this very prestigious and well-deserved award. This is an even bigger deal and probably more deserved than the other huge award you received earlier in the year. You're gonna need a bigger trophy case. Thank you so much for what you've done for our patients and families, our profession, our division, and for me personally over these last 21 years.
It's no surprise that Tony Woodward has been honored with numerous awards for teaching and service throughout his career. Yet he remains quite humble, even with this well-deserved recognition. Tony is selfless, always willing to deflect attention to elevate someone else. There's only one thing more important to Tony than pediatric emergency medicine: his family. He's been a model husband to TC, and a father to Will and Jake and Kelsey. Just recently, Tony became a proud grandfather, and you can only imagine how much he enjoys this role. Despite moving all over the country for different jobs and positions, Tony's always remained a loyal fan of the Philadelphia Phillies and the Philadelphia Eagles. As you can see, Tony Woodward has had a long-standing commitment to pediatric emergency medicine, to children in need of care from coast to coast and all over the globe. He truly cares about his patients, his mentees, his colleagues, his staff, and his family. We are honored to present Tony with the 2024 Jim Seidel Distinguished Service Award.
I can personally vouch that every single one of those things are true. I've never had the pleasure of getting to work for Tony, but I can't tell you how many times Tony has advised, mentored, sponsored my personal efforts, and so I need to call out, for those of you who may not be aware, what a truly dedicated ally Tony has been for so many of us in Penn. This room looks different because Tony is who he is, and so I'm going to yield the floor to one of my most favored mentors. And I've had fun.
Well, I'm still in sort of disbelief, and I asked Deb to recount. When she first told me about this, and she says, I've done it like 5 times, and you still come out, in the first place, so I don't quite get it. But I'm so honored to be honored. I like the idea of giving a little talk, and the red light's on already, so I guess I did get to meet Jim Seidel. This is one of his textbooks around emergency care, and my role of this was interfacility transport. It was pretty amazing. I also recognize had a chance to either meet or work with everybody on that list. And I know as we move on generationally, there's a lot of people who aren't here anymore, and a lot of people we haven't had that opportunity to do, so I consider myself super lucky. And then I tried to figure out why I got nominated for this. And I finally figured it out yesterday. It comes from an honorarium. And when Steve Sells retired, he runs a poker game. He knows that I don't have enough money to participate anymore. So I don't have an excuse to help fund his retirement. So that's where I'll be in the future. But anyway, I wrote some things down. If you can bear with me for a minute, I'd like to just go through some of these. I guess I'll start off by saying just kind of close your eyes for a second and think about some of the mentors you've had. And this is kind of what I did to prepare myself for this. It's been a long time, so I don't have all the memories, but I closed my eyes and I thought about some of the amazing people in our field that I've had the opportunity to meet and to work with or to work near. And as you think about that, I'm lucky to be able to recognize some of those people publicly, but certainly not all of them. And many of you are in this room, many of you have worked with me and as colleagues and students and peers. It's been an amazing journey for me. But I am confident I would not be here if my mentors had not had some sense of confidence that I could help them or they could help me move forward. And hopefully I had enough humility to recognize when the opportunity to learn or to get better was presented. So to paraphrase a famous medical book, everything I needed to know I learned in kindergarten. That's maybe fellowship, but it's not really true. Learning is iterative the whole time. I worked with some of these legends in the field, which has been really an amazing process, but it's also been difficult. It's difficult because they're aspirational, but you can't reach their heights. How can you reach the heights of a Steve Ludwig or a Gary Fleischer? Those kind of people, it's just unobtainable to sort of do what they did at the time that they did it. But one of the most exciting parts I think about our field is that those leaders, those aspirational leaders, those legends in our field are even nicer as people. And it took me a while to realize that. About 5 minutes once I got the job, I thought CHOP is this big place. How are we ever going to survive in a place like this? And everybody was so kind and so nice. I had an opportunity to do a fellowship at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia where I watched our specialty develop and was introduced to the people there throughout the country. And I often sit back and I marvel at when I got the job, I think there was 5 or 6 attendings. They all had young families, and not only did they provide amazing care in a hospital that provided 80 or 90,000 patient cares a year, they also developed a specialty. They also invented a specialty, helping others across the country to do that. And they taught us as residents, they taught us as fellows, they taught us as future leaders. And they did that in a small group of people who really cared about each other. And one of the things that I took away from that was there's a lot of smart people out there, but there's a lot of people that can make it better as you move along. I think being invited on that team was probably the luckiest thing that ever happened in my career, that's for sure. But their mentoring was amazing, but like good parenting, most of their mentoring wasn't telling me, Tony, you need to do this. It was giving the opportunity to watch them, to watch how they progressed, to watch how they dealt with adversity or anxiety, or they dealt with things that actually went well. For example, you heard about Fred and Reddick, who's just, a gift of a person. When I showed up for my CHOP fellow interview, I did an interview somewhere else the day before, and my flight was canceled. Then they lost my luggage, and then I was almost home, and there was a fire on the expressway a mile from my place. So I got 2 or 3 hours of sleep. I didn't have a suit, I didn't have clothes. I walk in, and I kind of explained this to Fred, and Fred looks at me, he goes, Tony, goes, looks like you need some pancakes. Now we went to the cafeteria, and I knew this was going to be a good day no matter what happened. I also learned the difference, I had been told this, but I never really understood it, the difference between equity and equality from Fred's wife, Marnie, who was a social worker in our emergency department. And as I explained to her, I did the same thing for everybody. She said, that's absolutely wrong. And she really helped me understand in our very diverse CHOP emergency department the differences that I need to pay attention to deliver the best care. I wanted to highlight a few of the key mentors and lessons. Steve Ludwig's caring humanity, Gary Fleischer's work ethic. Oh my God, Gary told me, I just don't understand people these days. They work during the day, work overnight, and then they want to go home the next day. I don't conversation. And I think I don't want to work in Boston. Lou Bell and his thoughtfulness, Fred Henredig's limited knowledge and ability, Doug Baker's drive, Steve Self's relentless pursuit of education. There is not an educational conference in the country that Steve hasn't put in 10 abstracts for or workshops, and our names are all over every one of those. So if you look at our CVs about all these places we've taught, it's all because we just followed Steve wherever he was willing to take us. I then went to Salt Lake City for my first job, and Jeff Schunk with his humor, Bob Bolte and his kindness, Howard Kadish and his business savvy, not to mention his skiing ability that left me in the dust. For my current position, Bruder Stapleton for taking a chance on me. I probably was not his vision of what the ideal division chief should be, but he worked with me, and together we were able to build a program. Eileen Klein, as you heard about, Russ McGee, Lori Rutman, who's here, who taught us everything to know about run charts that I had no idea what even those things were until she came and explained that to us. And Leslie Walker Harding, who actually is here in the audience, and she has this persistent pursuit of equity and diversity and anti-racism. They really help us understand our environment and how we can get better and strong all the time with that. From the AAP, you heard Rick Saldino, Joe Wright's not here, but Joe is, I didn't see Joe, an unbelievable leader in all aspects of what we do. Sue Tellez, I saw her come in, oh my gosh, what an amazing leader, and she shepherded so many of us through this process. Nationally and internationally, unbelievably saw the folks from Chile and Fred's testimonial. Those people were unbelievable. They taught us about innovation, perseverance, maybe most of all about hospitality. We would go down there and they would stop their lives for a week to make sure that we had everything we need. And I thought back on my time where if somebody came, I would like to squeeze them lunch. I felt I had really done my job. And they really taught me what it's like to be a good person, a nice person. There's so many more. Many from the AAP, and I think it's a great place. And as Ted mentioned earlier, the AAP is a place where you can really get a lot of opportunity. And one of the things I learned in my career is if you say yes, you get opportunities. If you say no, you won't get those opportunities. So the more you can say yes, and the more you can build that into what you do, especially when it's synergistic like the AAP, it makes a huge difference. I'm pretty much in awe and thankful for the privilege and opportunity I've had. When we're in the ED, we're dealing with the most stressful time in someone's life. It matters the most to them, and we're allowed to see inside their lives. We're allowed to understand things that perhaps others don't have a chance to hear about or to understand. And I think that's a privilege. I think every day when I go to work and I'm working with patients, even if it's a minor issue, it's not a minor issue to them. They wouldn't have gotten up, they wouldn't have come in the middle of the night, they wouldn't be here if it was not a major issue to them. So I'm able to de-stress it a little bit and provide them some care. It's really helpful. I'm kind of paraphrasing here a little bit, so I'll try to skip through this. I went to medical school with one goal in mind. I was going to be a general pediatrician in Vermont. There was nothing, I didn't care about anything else. I knew what I wanted to do. I spent time doing stuff like that, but that's exactly what I wanted to do. And the root cause of that was I wanted a job where I could play with kids all day and actually make a living at it. Oh, this is perfect. General pediatrician in Vermont. It's a place I love to be. I love to do stuff up there. But then I vividly recalled spending time in the ER as a third-year medical student and an intern. That's all there was on the surgical side of Temple University, major sort of trauma center. Pretty amazing. Third-year student and an intern running the service. And anyway, an altercation came in. One person was shot through the chest and one person was knifed in the neck. Same altercation. I don't understand either of those. And the intern, who I knew from some other events, he said, I'm taking the patient shot in the chest because I want to open the chest and do cardiac massage. I've never gotten to do that as an intern. You go take the patient and stab him. And I'm in there with the nurse, I'm like, third-year medical student. I'm like, ooh, what are we doing in here? But somehow they both survived well enough to have an altercation in the ICU the next day. I had experiences like that throughout my residency. I remember one time being on call, and I was a second-year resident, senior person in the hospital, no attendings at night. And they said, there's a code in the CICU. So I run up there, and I figure I can run the code. Well, somebody on a balloon pump. I don't know what a balloon pump is, So anyway, in about 3 seconds, we learned what a balloon pump was. We learned how to fix it. We learned what the deal was. And somehow that patient survived as well too. I thought, boy, this is kind of cool. You know, this is something that we can do, and it was very good. So, a lot of times as a trainee, we didn't have attendings. So I marvel at the services we have now, where every single patient has an attending who can help look at the patient, talk about whatever needs to be talked about in a way that hopefully is educational for the student or for the resident. But we didn't have those when I was a resident. There was no attendings after hours. And during hours, if there was a code in the ED, you would run into the attendings because they were running out of the ED while you were running into. So it allowed us to do a whole lot of stuff. So we got very confident in doing stuff. The problem was, I don't know if we were doing great stuff. So it took me a long time, and people like Russ McGee and others to explain evidence-based medicine to me and say, hey, the way you're doing the whole why that might work for you, but it's not really the best way to do that. Anyway, once I entered fellowship, I saw a model was intentional growth and development. Recruit people who are not only great physicians and skilled providers, but ones that think beyond themselves. Think about what you can do to help them, and they can do to help you and your team. And most importantly, search for people who care more about their own issues at the moment. I've seen this in action. Steve Woodward was the master of this, and I try to emulate that in my position in my job. Remembering at the end of the day, there's lots of brilliant people. Everybody here can take great care of patients. But will they make a particular group stronger and better? And we'd be happy to see them come to work every day and happy just to talk to them. And I have several in my group that if they just stop by my office and say it's better, they just make me better by showing up to work. And I really appreciate that. Anyway, none of this happens without time. There's a lot of time invested in this kind of stuff. And that doesn't happen without the supports of our family. My wife, Teresa, who's in the back, my son, Jake, have been tolerating me for a long time. My wife's been with me for over 40 years through medical school, etc. And graciously agreed to go back and forth across the country, leaving her 8 brothers and sisters on one end of the country to go fly to the other end of me and work on my growth stuff. My 2 boys are here, Will and Jake, and I think they're here to see if this was real. We're just another dad BS story I can tell them my whole life. Will was born in Salt Lake City, Jake was born in Philly, both were sort of raised in Seattle. And they've really been wonderful. I really appreciate them taking time out of their lives, especially Will with a 9-month-old at home, which is adorable. But they made me think about my parenting. Early on, they let me know about medicine. One of our relatives said, what do you want to do when you grow up? I go, I don't know. I just know I don't want to be a doctor. And that was from both of them. This is really great. Whatever I'm doing, I'm not doing a very good job. And then they told me at another time, when they get their next dad, and I wasn't sure what they were thinking about that process. They didn't want him to be an ER doc, because everything they wanted to do that was fun, I'd see somebody die from. Anyway, it's been wonderful to watch our field advance, to see people in the audience that I don't know who are leading the charge. Dr. Hoffman's unbelievable. The case conference this morning, great. It's been wonderful to sort of see the next generation to help maybe provide some perspective to our next generation and help them think through the next processes about being present, about the care that they're going to provide. So again, I want to thank Deb, Steve, Sue Tellez, and each one of the amazing colleagues I've worked with over the years. And I'm not sure I deserve this award